my friends and family, my spiritual family, and to our viewers on the World Wide Web. I'm deeply honored to be speaking to you this morning, and I am indebted to all of those who have come before me and nurtured me to the person that I am today. In particular, our founding minister, Reverend Elmer Lumsden, and Reverend John, who has guided me over the years. I would also like to thank you for your support with kind words and spiritual counseling. This is my first talk, my maiden, my inaugural, and I do appreciate your being here. This morning, I would like to invite you to explore borders and spaces. As you know, I deal with this a lot in my other life. First, I would like to define these borders, physical and mental, and look at how they play out on a day-to-day basis. Then, talk about holding on and letting go, about faith and trust. And then, this being Practitioner Sunday, let us remember what a practitioner is. According to our text, Science of Mind, page 167, it says, the one who attempts to heal himself or another through a recognition of the creative power of the mind and the ever-availability of good is a mental or spiritual practitioner. Such a one refuses to allow negative thoughts to control his consciousness. He endeavors to breed divinity in every man he meets. End of quote. Also, in the Bible, in James 2, verses 14 to 16, it says, what good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith, but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to him, go in peace, be warmed and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is it? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. End of quote. Therefore, this talk will focus on faith and works. And later, I will invite Julian to come to the platform and tell us of how this teaching has affected her life. Last month, I had the good fortune to be invited to a very small retirement function of one of my geography lecturers at the university. She is from one of the Asian tiger countries, which is still doing well today, and I have grown to become very fond of her. I have worked with her husband and her son in various capacities, and I was very, very touched that I was invited to this function. While I was there, I was reminded of the nurturing of students and the strive for excellence. I was also reminded that many of our decisions have impact on space, impact on borders, if you will. The study of land and spaces leads to the development of the idea of borders, national borders. This place and space is mine, and that place and space is yours. Do not cross this line. Do not go here, but go there. In our daily lives, too, we have developed borders without even becoming conscious of. Just getting up out of bed has a spatial dimension. The room, the house in which we live, how we move to our places of work, and so on. In fact, the side of bed in which we sleep represents a spatial dimension. We also take on territorial rights for the simple things that we do on a regular basis. where we park our cars, where we sit in a room. Some of us always like to sit on this side or on that side. Think of the many wars that have been staged internationally over the centuries for persons and countries protecting and defending their borders. Then think of our country and the barriers we place on various communities, sometimes in our inner cities. Many lives have been lost and persons injured because they have ventured across the border and walked a different community, which is right beside their own community. In preparing for this talk, I found a quotation from Andrew Watson which says, "Borders exist only in the minds of men." He continues, "This can have a double meaning. One, borders of countries don't exist in the physical sense. They are manifested by people. At the end of the day, there are no borders. The sea creates the only noteworthy border between land masses. But underneath it all, we were all born to live on the same planet." Then he gives another perspective. The physical borders start with mental borders, and we are the masters of our mind. So that is where I would like us to focus, because we know that these physical borders may be with us, but we can help change them by thinking about them and changing our minds. And so it is this latter meaning that I'd like to focus on. Our Science of Mind text says, well, before I tell you what it says, I should say that as a student of the science of mind, I have learned that the mind is the most powerful facet of our being. On page 28 of our text, it says, "What is the mind? No living man knows. We know a great deal about it, but not what it is. By mind, we mean consciousness. We are now using it. We cannot locate mind in the body, for the body is a necessary vehicle for consciousness. While we are here, we are not conscious of consciousness. We cannot isolate mind. All we know about is what it is not, and what it is. All we know about it is not what it is, but what it does." End of quote. Also, in Romans 12, verse 2, it states, "And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God." Also, our national hero, who incidentally was born in the same year as our founder Ernest Holmes, says, "Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men." Last month, or say this month, is an important one for us in Jamaica, because it is the month in which we celebrate emancipation from slavery, or independence from colonialism, as well as the birthday of one of our national heroes, Marcus Garvey. Our forefathers must have broken a lot of barriers and borders and man borders to make these transitions and changes in our society, don't you think? Then, this is also the month in which Jamaica, a small island with a population of under 3 million, made its mark on the international stage in athletics. The competitors, especially the medalists, certainly had no barriers, no borders in their minds about their abilities. In listening to interviews of our athletes after the various races at the World Athletic Championships, which were recently held in Moscow, the qualities that stood out were a belief in their own abilities, hard work, following their coach's instructions, enjoying themselves, and giving thanks to God. There were no physical, mental, or spiritual barriers in the mind of our Javon Francis, who anchored the Jamaica's relay team in the 4x400 meters relay. He got the baton from his teammate and passed about 3 other competitors to gain the silver medal for Jamaica. This is an 18-year-old boy or young man. There was no physical or mental or spiritual borders in the triple gold medalists of our Usain Bolt and Shelley and Fraser Price, which prevented them from achieving. So, as we ponder on the greatness of our countrymen, let us realize that this greatness is not restricted to them, but is available to all of us. It is really how we choose to use our minds to achieve this greatness. Recall that a part of our Declaration of Principles states, we believe in the control of conditions through the power of the mind. And recall our national hero, Marcus Garvey, stated, and I quote, "Man was not made to be a cringing, crawling being. He was made to be the captain of his own ship, a master of his own destiny, and as he selects, that much out of life he gets, nothing more." I'm going to repeat this, and I know that many of you may be familiar with the first part, but it is the second part that I'd really like you to think about. It says, "Man was not made to be a cringing, crawling being, but was made to be the captain of his own ship, a master of his own destiny. And as he selects, that much out of life he gets, nothing more. Nothing more than what he selects." So how do we use our mind to achieve our desires, to achieve our greatness? First of all, we need to train. We need to do the work. We need to be diligent. We train our minds by doing our prayer work, by doing our meditation. We should listen to that small voice within as we become scared. Now, meditation for most persons is done by doing nothing else, by being still sitting in a chair and being still in the morning or whatever. But I'm here to tell you that you can do meditation in your regular day-to-day actions. And I'm inviting you to make all of your actions become a meditation. I do recall from my own self while I was learning to do, say cooking, but preparing raw food diet. I did it with someone, and at the end of that 2-hour session, I said to myself, my gracious, this was like a meditation because everything was done in complete silence, and I felt as if I was meditating. So I'm inviting you to let all of your actions become a meditation. I once went to a doctor who told me that the body does not lie. Your body, it does not lie, and it cannot be fooled. So it is with our minds. Many times we underestimate its power. Many of you may recall a story once told in one of Reverend Elman's class about the lady who wanted a car. She wanted a new car. She prayed diligently. She meditated, indicating what she wanted. A very small car, because she did not want to be greedy. She went to great lengths in her prayer to state the size of the car, that she wanted something that was manageable. And of course, she got exactly what she prayed for. She got a very small car, a miniature car, a toy car. So, let us remember not to place limits on spirit. I can tell you for myself a few years ago, I was quite comfortable in a certain job and thought to myself, I wonder what it would take for me to leave. And I thought of the greatest thing I could imagine at the time, in terms of compensation and remuneration. But as it turned out, I got another job. And I had forgotten about all of that. And when I got the other job, after I signed the contract, went into my car and was driving back to my house, I recalled what I had thought about. I hadn't even said it. And do you know that I got exactly what I had thought about? Not a single red cent more, not a cent less. And so with hindsight, I realized that I could have been less prescriptive and that I would open the law to work and not set any limits. You see, I had placed a barrier, a border, if you will, on my own remuneration. Now, many of us have been praying for certain things in our lives. We go to practitioners, we go to deacons, we go to pastors, we go to ministers, who give the best and most moving of prayers and affirmative prayer work and treatments. We meditate, we contemplate, but it's just not happening for us. However, have you ever noticed that when you forget about the matter, this is where it manifests? It is called the power of release. Release, which is usually thought to be the most simple stage of our affirmative prayer. But it is really quite critical, and it requires faith that the prayer will be answered. And you may not wish to call it prayer, your thoughts. This is a spiritual principle which is similar to a physical principle. If you plant a seed in the soil, you usually ensure that the soil is good, right type for the plant. It cannot be too acidic and so on. It has the right nutrients, it has to be watered. Similarly with the mind. In order to get what we want, we must plant the right seeds. We must ensure that our thoughts are of the highest quality, that our words are a blessing to others, and most importantly, the seed once planted should be left to germinate and it will grow. There is no need to dig up the soil and tend it, to look and see, oh, is it germinating? Is it push out anything? Right? There's no need for that because we know that it will manifest. One thing we know is also certain, is that if we plant an orange seed, then we will sow. If we plant, we will reap oranges and not pumpkins. So it is with our thoughts. If we constantly have thoughts of praise, of abundance, of prosperity, of goodness, then we can only sow reap. And so we must have faith. On page 156 of our text it states, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The thought of faith holds the undifferentiated substance and brings into manifestation the thing which we fashion in our mind. This is how faith brings our desires to pass. And so now I'm going to invite our dear Julian to come and share with us how this teaching, she has been coming here fairly recently, so I'm inviting her to just come and share with us.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, all. I have written my testimony, which I will share with you right now. Know that the freedom which already exists in the might of God belongs to you and now manifests through you, Ernest Holmes. True freedom comes from within and originates from the Spirit of God which is within each and every one of us. It took me quite a while to come to this realization. I always played the victim. I accepted the role of being abused, ill-treated, and berated. Since coming to Temple of Light, I'm beginning to learn each and every day that this is definitely not the truth about me. A little over a year before coming to Temple, I had gone through a very life-altering experience. After being bullied and abused at a job which my mother had helped me to get, I decided that I could take it no more and walked away in anger. The next day, my mother packed my belongings in trash bags and told me to leave. I had to move in with my aunt and her husband. I later on found out, while unpacking my things, that my mother did not pack everything. She didn't pack my bras, my underwear, my night clothes. I felt humiliated, to say the least. I felt that it was easier to hide myself away in shame and embarrassment emotionally, socially, and even physically. I felt that there was something wrong with me, and the feelings of self-deprecation and self-hatred which I had battled with all my life worsened. I soon got myself settled in another job, and I saw a Creative Thought magazine that was in the waiting room of the office. I felt a deep urge within me to call the phone number and ask if they had any classes which I could attend. After resisting this urge for a while, I decided to call the Temple one day, and Pauline Gardner told me about the Tuesday evening services which I could go to in the meanwhile, since classes were not in session at the time. When I went, Vance Gardner moderated the service, and I remember the deep feeling of peace I felt when we did a guided meditation. There were few times in my life I felt peace like that. I was sitting beside Jennifer McDonald at the time. After introducing herself, she asked me which church I attended, and I told her UCT. She later invited me to attend a Sunday service at Temple. I told her that I would think about it, and when the time was right, I decided to go to a Sunday service. And surprisingly, and I believe that this is not a coincidence, Jennifer McDonald was moderating the service that Sunday. I liked that the service was 1 hour, and afterwards, I felt relaxed, refreshed, and at peace. After enrolling in the prosperity course taught by Reverend John, we had an assignment to do which required that we say nothing negative, judgmental, or critical for 21 days. It was during this period that I went through the worst case of workplace bullying that I'd ever experienced. It was also during this time that I asked Carol Campbell, Susan Goff, Vance Gardner, and Jennifer McDonald to do affirmative prayers for peace for me before starting my workday. All of their prayers were very helpful, and I thank them wholeheartedly for their spiritual support. However, the situation would calm down for a while and then it would escalate. Whenever I meditated, I felt that I should resign and pursue a career in writing, which I had much trepidation about because I felt that writing would not have allowed me to meet my financial obligations. Yes, writing is my passion, but I didn't think that I could earn anything from it. And hence, by thinking that way, I placed myself in emotional and mental bondage. I didn't know I had the freedom within me to live and earn a living doing what I love to do. Well, the bullying intensified. I asked Jennifer McDonald to do an affirmative prayer of right action for me. I also made it a habit to go to prayer power during that time. And Reverend Sonia, who was prompted by the Spirit, also did an affirmative prayer of right action at that service. A little bit after that, the lawyer, during a fit of temper and rage, her worst tantrum yet, jumped up and yelled and called me a gal. Although she was behaving in that manner, I surprisingly was calm throughout the whole ordeal. Before Temple, I would have shouted something equally derogatory or worse. But I was so calm, and I surprised myself. That is the impact of the teachings of this ministry. On Monday morning, on my life, on Monday morning the following week, I handed in my resignation. I'm now free to live the life that I've always wanted and doing what I love to do, which is writing. God is still leading, teaching, guiding, and directing me to earn an income from it and to stand up on my own 2 feet. I would like to thank the family of Temple Light for all their love and support. I especially would like to thank Jennifer McDonald for her prayers, spiritual support, and for inviting me to come here. I would also like to thank Reverend John for his teachings, wise counsel, and his prayers. My life and my world would never be the same without you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julianne. Wow. Wasn't that a story? This is about a trapeze and another physical example of the power of release and the power of faith. A woman had the experience a few years ago of sharing in the 60th birthday party of a friend in one of our hotels on the North Coast. There was a trapeze on the property, and with the requisite attendants to help any guest who was willing to try swinging across from one stand to the other. This woman wanted the experience of moving from one upright stand to the other, as she liked to try new things and liked being airborne. Now the stands on either side were taller than this building. The woman ventured up the stairs. She listened to the instructions and indicated that she understood them and was comfortable to undertake the jump. She started, the bar was thrown to her, and on instruction, she immediately let go of one bar that was swinging in order to catch the one that was thrown to her. It happened in an instant. It happened in a flash. One bar was being thrown. She had to let go and catch the other bar that was being swung to her way up in the air. As I said, it happened in a flash. It happened in an instant. There was no time for her to say, am I ready? I may fall. Oh, is this really happening? No. She obeyed the instruction. She caught the bar and was soon across on the other side. Her friends below were elated, as it seemed to be so easy. And so two others tried, and of course they succeeded. At the end, they were recounting to themselves, oh, that was easy. The hardest part of the whole exercise was walking up the steps. Right? Because I tell you, the steps were higher. The contraption was higher than this building. And the hardest part was walking up the steps. And so what are the lessons to be learned? We have to be willing to let go of the old. We have to be confident that when we let go, we will get onto what we want, or even something better. So we must have the faith, we must have the confidence, we must have the trust. And we also have to be certain of our desires. We cannot be wanting to get across and then are saying, no, I don't really want to cross. Right? We have to, if we want good health, we cannot be talking about our health problems and claiming them as if they are a part of our being. Right? And so, one other little thing now, this was my ending story, and it is coming from Luke 7, verse 1 to 10 in the King James Version. Now, when he had ended all his sayings in the audience of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And a new centurion servant who was there unto him was sick and ready to die. And when he heard of Jesus, he sent him unto the elders of the Jews, beseeching him that he would come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they besought him instantly, saying that he was worthy for whom he should do this, for he loveth his nation, and he hath built us a synagogue. Then Jesus went with them. And when he was now not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him, Lord, Trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou should enter under my roof. Wherefore, neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man set under great authority, having under me soldiers, and I say to one, go, and he goeth, and another, come, and he cometh, and to my servant, do this, and he doeth. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned about him, and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And they that were saved, returning to the house, found the servant whole that had been sick. And so, my friends, let us remember that as we venture into this new season, the summer is over, we are now moving into back to school, back to work, and inviting you to remove those borders from your mind. Let there be a cord between your thoughts, your prayers, and your actions. Let us have faith to know that we are undergirded by a divine source which constantly and continuously guides our path. And so I salute the Christ in you.